Mia stepped off the shuttle and onto Earth's surface, her mind buzzing with everything that had happened. The fragile agreement she had brokered with Commander Frel was just the beginning. It wasn't a guarantee of peace, it was a chance, a slim one, for humanity to prove it could rise above its flaws. But as she looked around at the chaos on Earth, she wondered if that was even possible. News of Kyle Dawson's attacks had spread like wildfire. Some people called him a hero, while others labeled him a dangerous extremist. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, with crowds divided over how to handle the alien presence. In one square, banners read, "Peace now," while in another, angry mobs chanted, "Protect Earth." Jack Harper and Dr. Laura Bennett worked around the clock to bridge these divides. They reached out to scientists, engineers, and leaders from all corners of the globe, urging them to collaborate with the Zolothians. Their plan was simple: show the aliens that humanity could work together by repairing the damage caused during their initial encounters. "We need to start small," Laura told Jack as they reviewed blueprints for a joint project. "If we can fix their drones or help improve Earth's energy systems, it'll prove we're serious about cooperation." Jack nodded, though his expression was grim. "It's a good idea, but time isn't on our side. Every day we delay gives Kyle more chances to ruin everything." And Kyle wasn't slowing down. Despite the growing backlash against him, he remained convinced that violence was the only language the aliens would understand. Hiding in an underground bunker, he plotted his next move. His resources were dwindling, but his determination burned brighter than ever. "They think they've won," he muttered to himself, staring at maps of alien activity. "But they're wrong. I'll make sure of it." Meanwhile, Mia joined General Paul Monroe in a high-stakes meeting with world leaders. She recounted her conversations with Commander Frel, emphasizing the importance of unity. "The aliens are watching us," she said. "Every decision we make matters. If we show division, they'll see us as a threat. If we show cooperation, we might actually have a future." Some leaders listened, agreeing to pool resources for the joint project with the Zolothians. Others resisted, fearing that collaboration would leave Earth vulnerable. The debate grew heated, with voices rising and tempers flaring. Amidst the turmoil, Laura and Jack made a breakthrough. Using data collected from the alien drones, they discovered a way to adapt Zolothian technology to stabilize Earth's power grids. It was a small step, but it symbolized what humans and aliens could achieve together. "This is it," Laura said, excitement lighting up her face. "If we can pull this off, it'll be proof that we're ready to work with them." Word of the project reached Commander Frel, who agreed to let a team of Zolothian engineers assist. For the first time, humans and aliens stood side by side, working toward a common goal. Tools hummed, machines whirred, and languages, both human and alien, merged into a strange symphony of progress. Even Mia found herself smiling as she watched the scene unfold. For a moment, it felt like anything was possible. But Kyle Dawson refused to let go of his anger. Watching footage of the cooperative effort, he sneered. "They're fools," he growled. "Playing nice won't save us when the aliens decide to strike." In his bunker, he pieced together a final plan, one designed to destroy not just the alien ship, but the fragile trust growing between the two species. He knew it was risky, but he didn't care. To him, survival meant doing whatever it took, no matter the cost. As night fell over Earth, the joint project continued under the glow of floodlights. Scientists exchanged ideas, engineers tested prototypes, and diplomats drafted agreements. Above them, the alien ship hovered silently, its crew observing every move. For now, hope lingered in the air. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Kyle's shadow loomed large, a reminder that peace was still fragile, and that one wrong move could shatter everything. Mia stood face to face with Commander Frel, her heart pounding. The alien leader towered over her, his shimmering form both intimidating and mesmerizing. His eyes glowed faintly, studying her as if trying to see into her soul. She took a deep breath, reminding herself why she was there, to stop a war before it began. I know we've made mistakes, Mia continued, her voice steady despite her nerves. But not all humans are the same. Some of us want to learn from you, work with you. We're not perfect, but we're trying. Vrel tilted his head slightly, a gesture that might have been curiosity or confusion. Trying is not enough, he said, his translated words echoing in the chamber. Your kind has shown. Chaos. You fight among yourselves, destroy your own world, and now you attack strangers without cause. How can we believe you will change? Mia hesitated. She knew he was right. Earth's history wasn't something to be proud of. But she also knew humanity's potential. We've made terrible choices, she admitted. But we've also done incredible things. We've built cities, cured diseases, explored space. Isn't that worth something? Isn't it worth giving us a chance? Vrel didn't answer immediately. Instead, he turned to Kull, who stood nearby, watching silently. The two aliens exchanged a series of clicks and hums, their language incomprehensible to Mia. Finally, Vrel faced her again. You speak boldly for one so small. Why should I trust you over others of your kind? Because I'm here, Maya replied simply. I came alone, unarmed, to talk to you. That has to count for something. Her honesty seemed to resonate with Vrel. He stepped closer, his glowing eyes narrowing slightly. Perhaps, but trust must be earned, not given freely. Before Maya could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A crew member rushed forward, speaking rapidly in the Xylothian tongue. Vrel's expression hardened. Another projectile, he said, turning back to Mia. From your planet. Again. Mia's stomach dropped. She had feared this moment. Kyle Dawson's refusal to stand down. It's not everyone, she insisted quickly. There are people on Earth who don't want this. Please, don't judge all of us based on a few. Vrel stared at her, weighing her words. Then, instead of retaliating, he ordered his crew to raise the ship shields once more. The second missile exploded harmlessly against the barrier, just like the first. But the message was clear. Earth's divisions were a threat, even to itself. Back on Earth, Jack Harper and Dr. Laura Bennett scrambled to contain the fallout. News of Kyle Dawson's unauthorized attacks spread quickly, sparking outrage. Some saw him as a hero defending humanity. Others condemned him as a reckless extremist. World leaders held emergency sessions, debating how to handle the situation. General Paul Monroe demanded immediate action to stop Dawson before he caused irreparable damage. We can't let him keep doing this, Monroe growled during a meeting. Every time he fires, he pushes the aliens closer to retaliation. Laura nodded, her face pale with worry. If they decide we're too dangerous to coexist with, they won't hesitate to act. And we won't survive that. Jack clenched his fists. Then we need to find him. Now. Meanwhile, Kyle Dawson remained undeterred. Hiding in an abandoned facility, he prepared for another strike. To him, the aliens' reluctance to retaliate proved they were weak. They're testing us, he told his dwindling group of followers. If we show fear, they'll take advantage of it. We have to hit them harder next time. His determination blinded him to the consequences. Each attack brought Earth closer to disaster and pushed Mia's fragile negotiations to the brink. On the alien ship, Vrel called Mia back to the main chamber. Your people are divided, he said bluntly. Some seek peace, while others crave conflict. How can we build trust when your own kind cannot agree? Mia swallowed hard. She had no easy answers. We may be divided, she admitted, but that doesn't mean we can't unite when it matters most. Give us time. Let me show you we're worth trusting. Vrel studied her carefully. For the first time, doubt flickered in his glowing eyes. Perhaps these humans weren't as simple as they seemed. Perhaps there was hope for them after all. As the alien ship hovered above Earth, the fate of two species hung in the balance. Would humanity rise above its flaws, or would its divisions seal its doom? Only time would tell. The missile soared through the sky, its fiery tail lighting up the night. Kyle Dawson watched with a mix of pride and fear as it raced toward the alien ship. He believed this was humanity's moment to prove itself, not through words or signals, but through action. If the aliens thought Earth was weak, they would learn otherwise. On board the alien mothership, Commander Vrel detected the incoming projectile. His crew scrambled to analyze it, their voices sharp with alarm. "It's armed," Kale said, his tone tense. "They're attacking us." Vrel clenched his fists, his earlier curiosity turning to anger. The humans had crossed a line. Despite their attempts at communication, they had chosen violence. He gave the order to activate the ship's defensive systems. A shimmering shield enveloped the vessel, glowing faintly as the missile struck. The impact was powerful, but the shield held firm, deflecting the blast into space. Mia Carter saw the explosion from her spacecraft. Her heart sank. She had been so close to making progress, to showing the aliens that humanity wasn't just chaos and destruction. Now, all her efforts seemed wasted. "No," she whispered, her voice trembling. "This isn't what we wanted." Rachel stared at the aftermath in stunned silence. "What do we do now?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Mia took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. "We fixed this. Somehow." Back on Earth, Jack Harper and Dr. Laura Bennett watched the events unfold in horror. The missile launch hadn't been authorized by any government. It was Kyle Dawson's rogue operation. General Paul Monroe was furious. "Who does he think he is?" he barked during an emergency meeting. "He's jeopardized everything." Laura shook her head, her face pale. "It doesn't matter who he is. What matters is how the aliens will react. If they see this as an act of war." She didn't need to finish her sentence. Everyone in the room understood the stakes. War with an advanced alien species would mean devastation for Earth. Humanity might not survive. But aboard the alien ship, Commander Vrel hesitated. He had every right to retaliate. With a single command, he could unleash weapons capable of wiping out entire cities. Yet something stopped him. The images transmitted earlier, the hand extended in peace, still lingered in his mind. He glanced at the view screen, where Maya's spacecraft remained stationed nearby. Her earlier attempts at communication had shown sincerity, even bravery. "Sir," Kale urged, "we can't let this go unanswered. They attacked us without provocation." Vrel turned to him, his expression unreadable. "And if we strike back, what then? Will they see us as conquerors or monsters?" Kale fell silent, unsure how to respond. Meanwhile, Mia knew she had to act fast. She contacted UNSI headquarters, pleading for help. "They're scared," she said, her voice desperate. "Just like we are. We have to show them we're not all like Kyle Dawson. Please, give me a chance to explain." General Monroe listened reluctantly. He didn't trust the aliens, but he also couldn't ignore the risk of escalating the situation further. After a brief pause, he made his decision. "You've got one shot," he told Mia. "Don't waste it." Mia prepared to board a shuttle and approach the alien ship directly. It was a risky move, but she believed it was the only way to prevent disaster. Before leaving, she recorded a message explaining humanity's diversity, how not everyone on Earth shared Kyle's beliefs or actions. She hoped the aliens would understand. As her shuttle approached the mothership, the Zolothians monitored her every move. Vrel watched the small craft dock, his thoughts conflicted. When Mia stepped out, unarmed and alone, he felt a flicker of respect. Few beings would dare such a thing. Through a translator device, Maya spoke slowly and clearly. "I'm here to say I'm sorry," she began. "Not all humans are like the ones who attacked you. Some of us want peace. Please, give us a chance." For a long moment, Vrel said nothing. Then he replied, his voice deep and resonant. "Your kind confuses us. You create beauty, yet you destroy without reason. How can we trust you?" Mia swallowed hard. Trust has to start somewhere. Let it start with me." Her word hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Vrel studied her face, searching for deception, but all he saw was honesty and hope. Unbeknownst to them, Kyle Dawson wasn't finished. Watching from Earth, he seethed with frustration. His first attack had failed, but he refused to give up. Gathering what resources he had left, he began planning another strike. He wouldn't stop until the aliens were gone, or until humanity paid the price for its weakness. Above Earth, the fragile thread of trust wavered. The choices made in the coming hours would determine whether peace was possible or if war was inevitable. Kyle's anger fueled his determination. He finalized plans to launch his stolen missiles at the alien ship. His goal was simple: disable their technology before they could do more harm. He didn't care about diplomacy or trust. To him, survival was all that mattered. Back on the alien ship, Commander Vrel monitored Earth's response. So far, there had been no counterattacks, which surprised him. Most species would have retaliated by now. Instead, he noticed increased communication attempts from the human spacecraft. Mia continued sending patterns and signals, trying to explain the situation. "She's persistent," Kale remarked, watching the transmissions. "Maybe too persistent." Vrel frowned. "Or maybe she's trying to prevent a war. If she succeeds, it could change everything." As the hours passed, Mia grew more frustrated. Her messages weren't getting through, and she could feel the clock ticking. Earth's governments were on edge, and Kyle Dawson's plan loomed like a storm cloud. She knew time was running out. Then something unexpected happened. One of the Xylothian drones responded to her signals, not with lights or patterns, but with a low-frequency hum. It vibrated through the spacecraft, almost like a voice. Rachel gasped. "Is that music?" Mia listened closely. The sound was strange yet mesmerizing, like nothing she'd ever heard before. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Do you think it's their way of reaching out?" Rachel nodded. "Maybe. Or maybe it's a warning." Despite the uncertainty, Mia felt a flicker of hope. For the first time, it seemed like the aliens were trying to connect, not just observe. She recorded the sound and sent it back to UNSI headquarters, hoping it would help Jack and Laura decode their intentions. Meanwhile, Kyle Dawson prepared to launch his assault. His team gathered in a hidden facility, loading the prototype missiles onto a makeshift rocket. "This is our chance," he told them. "Once we hit their ship, they'll leave us alone for good." But as he gave the final order to fire, Maya received a new transmission from the alien ship. This time, it was different. A series of images projected directly into her mind. She saw glimpses of distant stars, strange worlds, and creatures unlike anything on Earth. And then, one image stood out, a hand extended in peace. Mia's heart raced. She realized the aliens weren't just curious. They were afraid of humanity's unpredictability, its capacity for destruction. But they were also willing to listen. "Wait," Mia shouted into her communicator, hoping someone on Earth would hear her. "They're not attacking us. They're scared of us." Her words came too late. Kyle's missile streaked toward the alien ship, its fiery trail cutting through the darkness. All eyes turned upward, waiting to see what would happen next. The days dragged on, and the tension between humans and the Xylothians showed no signs of easing. Commander Vrel had grown more cautious after reviewing the data his crew collected about Earth. The information painted a confusing picture. Humanity was capable of great achievements, building cities, creating art, exploring space. But it was also deeply flawed. Wars, pollution, and endless conflict marked their history. To the Xylothians, Earth seemed like a planet teetering on the edge of chaos. Vrel decided to test humanity's reaction. He ordered a fleet of small drones to descend into Earth's atmosphere. These drones weren't armed, but they emitted powerful electromagnetic pulses that disrupted technology. Within minutes, cities across North America experienced blackouts. Phones stopped working, cars lost power, and even hospitals struggled to keep life support machines running. On Earth, panic spread quickly. People didn't know what was happening or why. Some thought it was an alien attack, while others believed it was a natural disaster. Jack Harper and Dr. Laura Bennett immediately suspected the Zolothians were behind it. "They're testing us," Laura said, her voice tight with worry. "But why?" General Paul Monroe wasted no time. He called an emergency meeting with world leaders to discuss how to respond. "If this is a show of force," he said, "we can't let them think we're weak. We need to act." Not everyone agreed. European leaders argued for restraint, urging patience until the situation became clearer. Asian coalitions, however, began preparing for the possibility of invasion. Troops were mobilized, and weapons systems were brought online. The world stood divided, unsure whether to fight or negotiate. Amidst the chaos, Mia Carter tried to maintain calm aboard her spacecraft. She knew the drone's actions hadn't caused permanent damage. They were designed to disable, not destroy. But she also understood how easily fear could spiral out of control. When she contacted UNSI headquarters, her message was clear. "We need to show them we're not a threat. If we retaliate, it'll only confirm their worst fears about us." Laura supported Mia's stance. "She's right," she told Jack. "If we strike back, they'll see us as aggressive. That's not who we are. Or at least, it doesn't have to be." But convincing others wasn't easy. Kyle Dawson and his group saw the blackouts as proof that the aliens were dangerous. "They're testing us," Kyle shouted during a meeting with his followers. "And if we don't fight back, they'll think we're weak. They'll take everything from us." Monroe rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "And if we act too soon, we could start a war we're not ready to fight. Do you really want that on your conscience?" While debates raged among world leaders, Kyle Dawson and his group of extremists took matters into their own hands. Convinced that the aliens posed an existential threat, Kyle began gathering weapons and supplies. He saw himself as a protector of humanity, someone willing to do what others wouldn't. "If no one else will stand up to them," he told his followers, "then we will." His plan was risky. Launch a surprise assault on the alien ship using stolen prototype missiles designed to disable advanced technology. It was reckless, but Kyle didn't care. To him, survival outweighed diplomacy. Meanwhile, Jack Harper and Dr. Laura Bennett worked nonstop to analyze the data coming from Mia's spacecraft. They hoped to find clues about the aliens' intentions. One night, after hours of poring over readings and patterns, Laura noticed something unusual. "Jack, look at this," she said, pointing to a set of numbers on her screen. "These frequencies, they match the ones we've been sending. But there's more. They're adding variations." Jack leaned closer, his brow furrowing. "You think they're trying to teach us something?" "It's possible," Laura replied. "Or maybe they're testing us. Either way, it's a breakthrough." Excited by the discovery, they shared their findings with UNSI headquarters. General Monroe listened carefully, though skepticism lingered in his expression. "Even if they're teaching us," he said, "how do we know they're trustworthy?" Laura hesitated. "We don't. Not yet. But isn't it worth finding out?" As days turned into weeks, both sides continued their cautious dance. The humans refined their communication methods, while the Zolothians studied Earth's history and behavior through intercepted broadcasts and satellite data. What they found disturbed them. Humanity's past was filled with wars, destruction, and endless conflict. To the Zolothians, it seemed chaotic and unpredictable. Commander Vrel couldn't shake the feeling that Earth truly lived up to its nickname, the Hornet's Nest. Yet there was also evidence of creativity, innovation, and resilience. He wondered if these traits could be harnessed for good, or if they would always lead to chaos. Unknown to everyone, Kyle Dawson's plan was nearing completion. With his small army ready, he prepared to strike. If successful, his actions could shatter the fragile trust building between humans and aliens. And once that trust was broken, there might be no going back. Far above Earth, Mia stared out the spacecraft window at the shimmering alien vessel. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain: humanity stood at a crossroads. The choices made in the coming days would shape the destiny of two species, and possibly the entire galaxy. The standoff between the humans and the Zolothians continued, but the tension in the air was thick. On board Mia's spacecraft, the team worked tirelessly to maintain communication with the alien drones. The flashing lights and patterns had become a kind of dialogue, though neither side fully understood the other. Still, it was progress. For the first time since the encounter began, there was a glimmer of hope that peace might be possible. Mia focused on keeping her movements slow and deliberate. She didn't want to give the aliens any reason to think she was a threat. "If we can keep this up," she said to Rachel, "maybe they'll see we're not looking for a fight." Rachel nodded, her eyes glued to the monitor. "It's working so far. Look, they're mimicking our signals now. That has to mean something." But Steve, the engineer who had accidentally triggered the earlier energy burst, wasn't as optimistic. He paced back and forth, muttering under his breath. "What if they're just buying time? What if they're planning something bigger?" Mia shot him a sharp look. "Panic won't help us. We need to stay calm and focus." On the alien ship, Commander Vrel watched the humans' efforts with growing curiosity. His crew had managed to decode some of the patterns being sent by the human spacecraft. They weren't complex, but they showed intelligence and intent. Vrel found himself wondering what kind of species would go to such lengths to communicate despite fear and uncertainty. "They're persistent," Kel remarked, "almost like they refuse to give up." Vrel nodded. "Persistence can be a sign of strength or desperation. Either way, we need to learn more before deciding how to proceed." Back on Earth, opinions about the encounter were divided. Some nations argued for restraint, urging patience while scientists tried to establish meaningful contact. Others, however, grew restless. General Paul Monroe faced increasing pressure from military leaders who believe humanity should prepare for the worst-case scenario. "We can't sit around waiting for them to make the next move," one officer told him during a meeting. "If they attack, we'll be caught off guard." "They're responding," Rachel exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. "This is incredible." Mia felt a flicker of hope. Maybe the aliens weren't hostile after all. She continued the exchange, using more complex patterns to keep the conversation going. Slowly, the drones stopped moving so aggressively and hovered at a safe distance. Back on Earth, Jack and Laura noticed the change in behavior too. "They're curious," Laura said. "This could be our chance to show them we mean no harm." General Monroe wasn't convinced. "Curiosity won't stop them if they decide we're a threat. We need to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." As the hours passed, both sides remained cautious. The humans worked hard to decipher the meaning behind the aliens' light patterns, while the Zolothians analyzed every piece of data they collected. Neither side fully trusted the other, but neither seemed ready to strike either. For now, the standoff continued. But unknown to everyone, larger forces were at play. Other nations on Earth had learned about the alien encounter, and opinions were divided. Some leaders called for peace, urging cooperation with the mysterious visitors. Others demanded immediate action, fearing the aliens might invade. Among those calling for action was Kyle Dawson, a former soldier turned extremist. He believed humanity should strike first before the aliens gained the upper hand. Gathering a group of like-minded individuals, Kyle began planning his own response, one that could change everything. Far above Earth, Commander Vrel stared at the blue planet below. His mind raced with questions. What kind of species lived here? Were they truly dangerous, or was there more to them than met the eye? Whatever the answer, one thing was certain. Earth was unlike any place he had ever encountered. And its nickname, the Hornet's Nest, suddenly made a lot more sense. The drones released by the alien ship moved quickly, surrounding Mia's spacecraft. They didn't attack, but their presence was enough to make everyone uneasy. The small team inside felt like they were trapped in a cage made of light and metal. Mia gripped the controls tightly, her knuckles turning white. She knew one wrong move could make things worse. "Stay calm," she said, trying to sound confident even though her heart was racing. "We don't want to provoke them." Her words did little to comfort the engineers. One of them, a nervous man named Steve, kept muttering about how this was all his fault. He had triggered the defensive system earlier, and now he feared the aliens might see them as a threat. The other engineer, Rachel, tried to focus on her instruments, scanning the drones for any clues about their purpose. Back on Earth, Jack Harper and Dr. Laura Bennett watched the situation unfold from UNSI headquarters. Cameras on Mia's spacecraft sent live footage, showing the alien drones circling closer. Laura leaned forward, studying every detail. "They're not attacking yet," she said. "That's a good sign. Maybe they're just trying to understand us." But General Paul Monroe wasn't so sure. To him, the drones looked like predators sizing up their prey. "If they wanted to talk, they would have done it already," he growled. "Instead, they're sending machines to intimidate us." Monroe ordered backup ships to launch into orbit, just in case things turned violent. However, he also instructed them to stay far away from the alien ship. For now, he wanted to avoid escalating the situation further. But tensions were high, and everyone knew that one misstep could lead to disaster. On the alien ship, Commander Vrel observed the humans closely. His crew had detected the accidental energy burst earlier and assumed it was an act of aggression. Now, with the human spacecraft surrounded, Vrel debated what to do next. He didn't want to start a fight, but he couldn't ignore the possibility that these creatures might be dangerous. "They're primitive compared to us," said one of his officers, a tall Zalothian named Kale. "Look at their technology. It's clumsy and inefficient." Vrel nodded slowly. "Yes, but look at their behavior. They fired first without knowing who we are, and now they've sent more ships into orbit. Are they preparing to attack?" Kale hesitated. Perhaps, or maybe they're just scared. Scared or not, Vrel knew he couldn't take chances. If the humans posed a threat to his people, he had a duty to neutralize it. But before making any decisions, he decided to gather more information. Using advanced sensors, his crew began analyzing the human spacecraft and its crew members. They studied everything: their biology, their language, even their emotions. Meanwhile, Mia tried once again to communicate. This time, she used simple shapes and numbers, projecting them onto the spacecraft's exterior screen. It was a basic attempt at showing intelligence, something anyone, even aliens, might recognize. At first, there was no response. Then one of the drones flashed a series of lights in return. It wasn't random. It followed a pattern. In the year 2147, something unusual happened. A spaceship from far away in space came close to Earth. It wasn't a human ship. This one belonged to aliens called the Zalothians. No one on Earth knew much about them, but rumors had spread across the galaxy that Earth was called the Hornets' Nest. The name puzzled the Zalothians. They wanted to find out why. Commander Vrel was in charge of the alien ship. He and his crew were curious about Earth. Their mission was simple: watch, gather information, and leave. But as they got closer, they started to notice strange things. Earth looked different from other planets they had seen. Its surface was full of cities, factories, and machines. Lights blinked everywhere, even in the dark side of the planet. It seemed busy, too busy. On Earth, people had no idea they were being watched. Jack Harper, a geologist working for the United Nations Space Initiative, UNSI, was checking some unusual readings in the sky. Normally, he studied rocks and minerals, but this time, his instruments picked up something odd. There was an object moving high above Earth's atmosphere. It wasn't behaving like any satellite or rocket he knew of. Jack didn't want to jump to conclusions, so he decided to tell someone who might understand better. That person was Dr. Laura Bennett. a scientist who worked with UNSI. She specialized in space research and often helped analyze strange signals. When Jack showed her the data, she frowned. "This isn't ours," she said after studying the numbers carefully. "It's not natural either. Whatever it is, it's artificial." Laura suggested they investigate further. They contacted General Paul Monroe, a military leader responsible for protecting Earth from unknown threats. At first, Monroe wasn't convinced there was anything serious going on. After all, Earth had dealt with unidentified objects before. Most turned out to be harmless. Still, he agreed to send a small team to check it out. The team included Mia Carter, a young pilot known for her quick thinking. Though she was still new to such missions, her skills made her a good choice. Alongside her were two engineers tasked with collecting samples if needed. As their spacecraft approached the mysterious object, everyone felt tense. What would they find? Was it friendly or dangerous? When they finally saw the alien ship through their cameras, it looked nothing like anything humans had ever built. It shimmered faintly, almost like liquid metal, and floated silently without making any noise. The design was sleek and smooth, with no visible engines or weapons. Despite its beauty, it gave off an eerie feeling. Something about it felt alive. Mia tried to communicate by sending basic signals, flashes of light and mathematical patterns. These were meant to show that humans were intelligent beings capable of logic, but there was no response. The alien ship just hovered there, watching. Back at UNSI headquarters, Jack and Laura waited anxiously for news. They hoped the aliens would reply peacefully. However, things took a turn when one of the engineers accidentally triggered a defensive system. Without meaning to, the spacecraft fired a short burst of energy toward the alien ship. Though it caused no damage, the aliens reacted immediately. Their ship released smaller drones, which began circling the human craft. Panic spread among the team. Mia tried to calm everyone down while keeping communication attempts alive. Meanwhile, back on Earth, General Monroe prepared for the worst. If the aliens attacked, humanity would need to defend itself. But deep down, he wondered, had they just made a terrible mistake? Little did anyone know, this was only the beginning.